Although NBC Universal executive Kathleen French called the McBee Dynasty real American cowboys like the reality Succession or Yellowstone, she also pointed out that there's another Bravo show that the McBee family might have more in common with the Real Housewives of New Jersey. I think what's different is that these cast members are family, French told B and B of both shows, and they may agree or disagree, but at the end of the day, they're gonna sit down for Sunday dinner. And you'll hear them say over and over again that blood is thicker than water. In case you need a refresher, the McBee Dynasty's second season followed brothers Stephen McBee Jr., Cole McBee, and Jesse McBee as they tried to save their family farm in Gallatin, Missouri. The family was also confronted by an FBI investigation and subsequent legal issues, with patriarch Stephen McBee Sr. still facing a sentence of up to 30 years after pleading guilty to one count of federal crop insurance fraud in November 2024. However, even while facing hardship, the McBee family stuck together. As Stephen Jr. put it on Season 2, "My loyalty lies with my family and on this farm and ranch. I would defend that until the day I die." Bravo Exec explains why McBee Dynasty's dynamic is hard to replicate on other shows. As French pointed out, while some friendships could fall apart and they'd never see each other again, the same can't be said for the cast of the McBee Dynasty. That doesn't usually happen in families, she continued. I think with this particular family, they love hard, they fight hard, and they really do support each other. They're there for each other, and there's a strong family dynamic. French specifically noted that even Steve Sr. and Christy McBee, who were together for almost 3 decades before their marriage ended in a fiery divorce, put their differences aside to film together during the Season 2 finale. As she put it, what is their most important thing? It is to make sure that their boys are taken care of and that the farm, their legacy, goes forward. Why Christy McBee decided to join the McBee Dynasty. Season 2 of the McBee Dynasty introduced the family matriarch, Christy, who stepped in to give her sons advice in their father's absence. Of this decision, French said, "She loves her boys. You see that throughout the series, but I think that she was hesitant to be in proximity of Steve, given the nature of the divorce and how they split." There was also the matter of Steve Sr.'s ex-girlfriend, Galina Saltkowska. Christy hadn't seen Galina since she and Steve Sr. had split up, French explained, and she says it on the show that she attributes Galina as being part of the problem and part of the breakup in the family. But it wasn't just Galina's presence that gave Christy pause. Added French, there's a lot of emotion that was tied to the farm, things that happened at the farm that I think led to the split up of her family. So she saw that as being connected to the show as well. That's why French said that McBee Dynasty's producers decided to follow Christy's lead for Season 2. I said, "We're not going to push you in any direction that you feel uncomfortable in," French said of her conversations with the McBee mom. And I think once she settled in, she got to know the producers, she really let it all hang out. I mean, she's very forthcoming about what had happened with Steve, how she felt about the farm, how she felt about Galina. The tension-filled relationships all culminated in a face-to-face meeting between Christy and Galina on Season 2, Episode 6. But that wasn't the only hurdle Christy overcame. Her son Jessica getting married and seeing Steve again, French added, and being part of the wedding together. The homecoming. When Rowan Harper returned home after 8 years in Austin, his boots cleaner than they should be, his jaw a little too polished for a cowboy, no one at the ranch greeted him with open arms. Not even Eli, the youngest, whose wedding was the excuse for Rowan's return. Eli stood on the porch chewing sunflower seeds, staring at his brother like he was a ghost. "You show up for the wedding," Eli said, "but not the foreclosure notices, not Mom's funeral, not when the creek ran dry for the first time in 80 years. Just the wedding." "I'm here now," Rowan said. Eli spat the seed shell at his boots. "Ain't that always your line?" Chapter 2. The Matriarch's Will. The real reason Rowan returned wasn't the wedding, it was the letter. Cecilia Harper, his mother, had mailed it from her hospice bed a week before she died. It was handwritten, trembling, and sealed with the family's cattle brand etched in wax. Rowan, I know what your father did. I know about the black ledger buried beneath the chapel. If you're reading this, it means he's lied again. The ranch is not what it seems. You need to find the truth before your brothers bury it with me. Love, Mama. Rowan had almost burned the letter. Instead, he packed his suit and came back to Dry Creek. Chapter 3. Blood at the Table. Sunday dinner at the Harper Ranch wasn't a meal. It was a battle dressed up in cast iron and cornbread. Cass Harper, the eldest, carved the brisket with the precision of a man used to cutting more than meat. He wore his deputy badge like a promise, and his new fiancée, Sable Rains, was seated beside him. She had lips like secrets and a stare that never blinked. Across the table sat Rowan, his glass full but untouched. "Missed you at the auction," Cass said, voice dripping with sweet venom. "Dad and I had to buy back half our own land. Rumor has it you're consulting for the very developers trying to get this town." "Rumors make good fertilizer," Rowan said. "Too bad they don't grow crops." Their father, Beau, cleared his throat. "We're a family," he said. "We don't fight at the table." Cass smirked. "We fight everywhere else." Chapter 4. The Chapel. That night, Rowan walked the ridge to the old chapel, the crumbling structure no longer fit for weddings or sermons. The door groaned open like it remembered him. Dust choked the air, and moonlight fell through broken stained glass in fractured colors. He found the trapdoor beneath the pulpit, just as the letter described. Inside was a rotting box, and inside the box, a ledger bound in black leather. It wasn't just crop yields and cattle sales. It was insurance fraud, payouts for dead crops that were never planted, money funneled to dummy shell companies, and an offshore account labeled only with the initials FS. His father's. Chapter 5. The Confrontation. Rowan stormed into the barn at dawn, the ledger in hand. Cass, shirtless and slick with sweat from wrangling a stubborn colt, turned at the sound. "You know what this is?" Rowan demanded. Cass stared, then wiped his brow. "Dad's private business." "Business? This is a federal crime." Cass stepped closer, steel in his posture. "You think I didn't know? Think Eli doesn't? You were the only one who ran from the fire, while the rest of us stood in it." "I didn't run. I escaped." "No," Cass said. "You abandoned." Before Rowan could answer, Eli stepped from the shadows. "I don't care if he laundered money through a ghost town saloon," Eli said. "That ledger gets out. We lose everything. The ranch, the name, our legacy." "It's not a legacy," Rowan snapped. "It's a lie stitched in blood." Chapter 6. Krista. Only one person in Dry Creek had ever gotten close enough to the Harper brothers to unravel them. Krista Hale, Rowan's high school love, and now the town's youngest attorney. When Rowan brought her the ledger, she flipped through it slowly, eyes narrowing. "You know what happens if I file this?" she asked. He nodded. "My father goes to prison. So does Cass, maybe Eli. The ranch goes belly up." Krista leaned back, looking at him. "Then why Shoney?" "Because maybe it's time Dry Creek burned down so something honest can grow." She closed the book. "And if your mother knew all this, why didn't she come forward?" Rowan hesitated. "She was afraid of the same thing I am." Chapter 7. The Wedding. Eli's wedding was held beneath a sky bruised with thunderclouds. The bride, Lena Marks, wore her grandmother's lace veil and cowboy boots caked with red dust. Beau Harper walked her down the aisle, smiling like a man who hadn't ruined everything. Krista was Rowan's date. Cass stood beside Eli as best man. And just before the vows, Rowan stood. "I have something to say." Gasps rippled through the congregation. Haley's face went pale. Rowan turned toward his father. "You taught us loyalty, but you didn't earn it. You taught us pride while feeding us lies. This ranch wasn't built by grit. It was built by theft. He pulled the black ledger from his coat. The sky split with lightning. Chapter 8. The Fallout. The FBI arrived within 24 hours. Rowan turned over everything. Cass was arrested. Eli refused to testify. Bo claimed sole responsibility, taking a plea deal that would keep him behind bars for the rest of his life. The ranch was auctioned off again. This time, it wasn't the Harpers who bought it. It was Krista, with Rowan's help, and a new LLC formed under Cecilia Harper's name. We're rebuilding it, Rowan told the press, but not as a dynasty, as a community. No lies, no black ledgers. Epilogue: blood, water, and dust. They say blood is thicker than water, but in Dry Creek, Missouri, blood turns to dust just like everything else. Rowan stood on the porch of the rebuilt Harper House, now the Cecilia Center for Agricultural Reform, watching the horizon shift from gold to flame as the sun fell. Cass was out on parole. Eli visited sometimes. Their father wrote from prison every month. Rowan hadn't written back. Krista stepped out, handed him a glass of sweet tea. "You regret it?" she asked. He took a sip, eyes on the land.